Welcome to Deep in Thought. I am your spokesperson, Amira, and we are going to dive deep into a lot of different topics about being a black woman in today's society, working on our mental health as a black community, and also daily things that happen in our lives, like in social media, even in our communities on a daily basis. So sit back, enjoy this episode, and if you have any questions, please send them at axdeepin, that's axdeepin at gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed this episode. So, welcome to our first episode, and today we're going to just go and talk about some things that I feel like just me as a person needs to talk about. And if you relate, you relate. If you can't, then sometimes you can relate, sometimes you can't. It's okay. It's fine. We're winging it. I always love to wing things because you never know when something might arise in my brain. I'm letting my spirit guides guide me, guide my heart, guide my words today. So first, what I always like to do is start off with a quote. This quote really resonated with me. It's always a great habit to have like some affirmations, some quotes around to really get you in the mood and get you ready for the day. And I always use this app called Motivation app. I'm not sponsored or anything, but if you guys want to go ahead and check them out, they're really great. They give you daily motivation things for your daily lives. Like if you're going through anxiety, if you have things going on with your relationships, they always pinpoint those quotes for those specific areas that you need some more filling up your bucket filled in. So this quote comes from that app, and it says, "The level to which we protect ourselves from being vulnerable is a measure of our fears and disconnections." And the reason why that resonated with me is because I am not a very vulnerable person. I feel like being vulnerable is a sign of weakness, and that is because of the childhood that I grew up with. But that is completely false. Being vulnerable is actually a very high strength. The strongest people that you will encounter are very vulnerable, and they show their vulnerability in the way they talk, the way they walk, the way they act. And then sometimes you wouldn't even know if they're vulnerable or not, but in their mindsets and how they feel, they might feel this action or what they're doing is a vulnerable state for them. So what is vulnerability? Some people may know, but I'm just going off of the definition on Google. Vulnerability is the quality or state of being exposed to a possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physical or mental, emotionally as well. So what makes one vulnerable? So sometimes, like I said before, it can happen in your childhood trauma. Maybe something happened in your home life, maybe family situations. Maybe you weren't as close to your father or your mother. Maybe you had to be the strong one in the family. School life, maybe you had to, put on a strong face for the people that you were around. Your friendships, relationships, people that may have hurt you, people that may have broken your heart, and then you had to keep a wall up. People that are maybe being betrayed by someone betrayed you in your life that really made you feel like being vulnerable wasn't an option. To be vulnerable, you have to be able to break down that wall and be able to express your emotions as authentic as possible, and being real to yourself. Some things you can always keep to yourself until you're comfortable and ready, but some things need to be said right then and there. And I know sometimes, even with me, I am very guarded when expressing myself. And I think that is why it's so hard. That's the reason why I take this quote very to heart, because it is a fear of disconnect. Because you're not no stronger keeping your emotions in as if you were to express them to the world. If you express how you feel, you are more likely to find people that are in that same realm as you are, and you will find more connections that way rather than being disconnected from the world. And it's okay to be vulnerable. Sometimes you really have to have that time where you're just in your room and you're crying. Or if you're at your workspace and you feel there's something in that work environment that is toxic, and you as a person want to express yourself in a way so it can release from your burden, release from to be your burden, do it. It doesn't have to be you actually speaking words. You can write it down in a journal. You can do what I'm doing, which is a podcast. These are the type of things that will help with your to express your vulnerability a little bit more. And again, being vulnerable does not equate to being weak. You are strong by expressing yourself, no matter how you express it, as long as you get it out. Because a lot of times, the people that hold things in are the most people that feel like they're being that strong one, but you're actually destroying yourself by holding that in. So make sure that you are able to push that energy out, whether you yoga, whether you meditate, whether you sit and talk it out like I'm doing, whether you write it down in a journal, something that helps you get your vulnerability back. Make sure that you are being very authentic with it as well. Sometimes being vulnerable can actually come off as being needy, and you're not needy. I understand a lot of times people like to emotional dump on others, and that is a difference. There's no emotional dump is more so being needy, I'll say. More so just saying everything that's on your mind, saying like dumping all of your emotions on one person, but not reciprocating their emotions. So it's someone that you talk to every day, that you love, and you talk to them about your feelings and how you feel. How about you have that ear out for them as well? How about one day that friend or that lover or that family can come to you and talk to you about the same things or even something different, but that you are their ear and they are your ear. So let it be something like that, rather than just dumping your emotions, but not giving that same support for your family that you love. And, ways to channel these vulnerabilities. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm going off of things that I've done and experienced in my life. I have a few that I can think of. Become more comfortable with your emotions. So let's say that it's really hard for you to express being mad in a way without like yelling. So I am the type of person that when I'm angry, I hold it all in. But I know a couple of other people that when they're angry, they yell, or they are very emotional in their face. They could even do things like destroy stuff, which is not okay. That's something that needs to be fixed, maybe even therapy wise, because there's a lot more anger from just something as small as, let's say, something spilled milk, But personally for me, when I'm angry, I hold it in. And that's not good, because eventually it will come out in a way that may hurt someone else's feelings that wasn't even involved in that situation. So try to be more comfortable expressing your emotions in a better way, right? So writing it down, talking about it. But when you do talk about it, make sure that if it's something that is like really deep into your like core, get it out. Always get it out, whether it takes a day, whether it takes 2 days, whether it takes a month. Get it out. Again, you don't want to be the person to be that emotional dump, because you want to make sure that you give your friends and your family and your loved ones the same respect that you can hear them out. However, you don't want to hold that in either. That is not a good feeling, and it's not fun. So make sure that you become more comfortable with how you feel. Like, there'll be times where I am in bed and I just feel really anxious. Don't know where it's coming from, but I know that that's a feeling that I have, and I need to be comfortable in that feeling. Although the anxiousness may not be comfortable at the moment, I find things to keep my mind away from the anxious feelings. So I'll play video games, I'll write, I'll read books to get my emotions back on track. So those anxious feelings, they can probably still be there, but they're not as severe. So, be comfortable in your emotions. And being vulnerable, again, it doesn't It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're weak. You are a strong person. You are loved. You are you need these people in your life to talk to so then you can be able to express yourself. Whatever happened in your childhood, whatever happened at your job, whatever happened at, your family function or anywhere, even in the car, whatever happened, you are valid of your feelings and you are able to express your feelings in a way where it doesn't have to be hurting anyone else's feelings, but you are able to find ways to channel your emotions and your vulnerability. And so when we do talk about vulnerability, one more thing that I do want to talk about is that vulnerability is the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courageous empathy, and creativity. It's a source. It's the source of the hope, empathy. You have to take accountability and be authentic. Be sure that you know that your feelings are valid and you're expressing yourself in a loving way so it doesn't hurt anyone. You show strength in your vulnerability. Even though sometimes it can be terrifying and it takes courage to, reveal in your heart that you're vulnerable, yet it is a very rewarding experience. It's a rewarding experience in life because then you're able to channel on other emotions and channel other things like your trauma and stuff once you become more vulnerable. And we have to rebrand vulnerability and choose it as an emotion. A vulnerable person is not some weird, anonymous, like they can't do anything. They're open of being hurt and they're open to being loved as well. So I want you guys to take that. I hope that helped. Again, this podcast is just from my own brain. I'm not an expert at these things. I'm just going off of experience as I take it. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Think about the stuff that I say. Look up some vulnerability quotes. Write it down. Use those things as affirmations for yourself. And keep building to be a better you. Bye.